Hi there, my name is Hasse.
And I'm Henrik.
And this is a look back at our micro short Behind You. We'd received some questions about the making of the movie and shooting time, so we thought we'd address them here, and while we're at it, answer some other questions and raise some thoughts and insights that we've had in making this short film. The idea for Behind You came basically from a failed short film funding submission.
Around autumn 2015, I think.
After which we basically said, let's do something where we don't need a lot of money so we can control the process ourselves. The idea was to create something fairly simple in scope and manageable when it comes to production. So Henrik and I sat down and agreed on a story, and then Henrik wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, just sort of whipped it up in an hour or three, something like that. I don't remember exactly.
And because of some scheduling conflicts, mainly we didn't have enough time to do it before Christmas, and then our actress was away for a few months. We had time to develop the script a bit more, during which we went through some of the shots and jotted down ideas on how to raise tension. And actually one of the first shots we came up with was the one you see in the beginning with a dolly down the corridor.
Long creeping sort of thing. That's always a good way to start establishing a sort of a creepy atmosphere.
One of the challenges that we had was that we wanted the film to be quite dark, to be visually quite dark, because she's home alone in the dark, and it's in the shadows that you start to see things that aren't there or things that shouldn't be there. So we asked Mattias, our cinematographer, unfairly perhaps, to remove lights and reduce contrast between the brighter areas, basically to light with no lights. And it wasn't the easiest task, but hats off to Mattias, who did a fantastic job and made it feel like there's actually only one source of light, which is
the computer screen,
and really got that feeling of seeing in the dark with the lights off. The other challenge, of course, was that we wanted to create an antagonist or a monster.
But originally, to keep things simple, we decided that the girl would actually be the only person who actually sees this monster.
Yeah, but we realized pretty soon that we needed something more.
As I remember, we didn't really want to be ambiguous. We wanted to say that there is actually a monster here. It's not entirely in her mind. There is an actual monster here. So you should be afraid as well, not just her. I guess
exactly. She's not just going crazy.
No.
So we try to find the midpoint between having the monster be clear enough so that we could sense what she's afraid of, but vague enough so that we could still hide it in the shadows so we wouldn't see the rubbery mask.
Yeah, the monster needs a presence, but not that much more.
But of course, that being an afterthought, that created a few challenges. Previously, she was supposed to be frightened from the lights turning off and run out of the room, but we realized that didn't really make sense. So we needed something that made her so frightened that she basically reacted based on pure instinct. And of course, the colorist Jonas had to spend some time making the monster dark enough so we couldn't see any of the rubbery features. Another challenge was the fact that daylight savings had just kicked in a few days before we were going to shoot, which effectively reduced our night with about 2 hours, which created a few problems.
We didn't have much nighttime to begin with
at
this point of the year.
So instead of starting shooting at 7, we started at 9 p.m. and kept going until 9 a.m. And
somewhat rough.
Everyone was really tired, but pushed through in an admirable way. One of the most important reasons for why we're doing this project is to develop our visual language and learn and get better.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So we learned a few things from this film, which we'll bring to the next one, and I think the primary one is basically,
if you use a camera, know it beforehand.
Yeah, we used the Canon C500 and...
good camera. Looks big, looks professional.
And it captures a really nice image. But it was the first time either of us had worked with it, and I think in total it made us lose about 3 hours of shooting time because of setting it up, getting the frame rate right, or the discs not formatting properly. I mean, it added some frustration and we dealt with it, but in the future we're going to work with cameras that at least one person knows really well. One of the conscious decisions we made was that we wanted the energy to come from the compositions themselves and the action within the image and not just from the cuts. So we designed the shots with Mattias to try to hold the shots for as long as we felt they needed to be held, and only cut when the story or the building tension demanded that we cut. But there is that one shot when she looks out through the corridor where we feel that we might have benefited from a POV shot, because it would have helped us get even more inside her mind, trying to peer into the darkness and make out what's in the shadows. I guess another thing we realized, if you watched Behind You on YouTube, you've already noticed it, is that YouTube's compression is pretty horrible, especially when it comes to colors that are very similar, or there's a very gradual shift in tone. So basically, the different shades of darkness in the beginning of this movie and throughout, more or less, end up being pretty much blotches of pixels moving and crawling along the walls. So that was a bit disappointing because the movie looks really good in ProRes in its original format. So that's definitely something we're gonna take a look at for the next one, to use a bit more contrast in the image. The scream in this shot wasn't actually done live, because when we shot this it was around 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and we really didn't want to piss off the neighbors, because at the time I was staying in this apartment.
Yeah.
And I already have neighbors that get annoyed by everything.
Without women getting murdered.
Exactly.
Next door.
So we had to add that afterwards. And actually none of the sound in the movie is original.
We recorded live sound, but we didn't count on a creaky floor and lots of
Shuffling
feet, a fridge going.
Ventilation system.
Yeah. So in the end, we had to redo everything again.
And part of that is actually Henrik Meierkord. It was his initiative. He said, I can do this. It'll sound much better than what you have. So all credit to him when it comes to Foley, sound editing, sound mixing. He even did the score. He lent us some strings from a cello piece that he'd recorded, and he mixed it all together in a really, really cool way. So that's about it. We're happy that you spent this time with us, taking a look back at the making of Behind You. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you like the short film Behind You, please click the like button on that movie as well, and share it so other people find it. Subscribe to our channel to see what we have coming up next. We'll post a new video every other week with updates, and every other month we'll post a new short. We're hard at work on the next one. We can't wait to show you what we have coming up, and in about 2 weeks' time we'll give you an update on how that's going. So goodbye from Henrik.
Until next time.
And goodbye from me, Hasse. And this has been a look back at our micro short Behind You. Take it easy.